Right. Okay, and we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. How are we doing on this fine Sunday, wherever you guys are? I hope you've had a very good weekend. So let's get down to business. Let's get talking about Manchester United and everything going on with transfers and the takeover ahead of what will be a very big week for the club, for sure. So, of course, one of the transfers we have been talking about for a long time now, one that looked like it was off the cards last night, that is Mason Mount to Manchester United. So, of course, third bid rejected. It was meant to be United's final bid. We have had updates on it today, so let's go through these really quickly and see where we stand in terms of this Mason Mount deal. So, Manchester United's offer for Mason Mount remains on the table, but the club do feel there is no need to enter into further face-to-face negotiations with Chelsea. So, how do we feel about this one? How do we feel about that one, guys? I think United are doing well. I think what we have done here is a pretty smart move. We have said basically offers on the table. We will not be going back in with further bids because Manchester United for once are going to act with a bit of backbone and a bit of strength in the transfer market. Rajat is down there. Good to see you, man. I'm all right. How is your day going? I hope you've had a good weekend, man. Yes, so Mason Mount, this does look like something that is going to keep on dragging on and dragging on. So basically, where do we stand? United, we have put a third and final bid down on the table. That bid, United feel, is a fair reflection of Mount's value and in terms of what he actually has, like on his contract as well. Only 1 year left on his contract, United. We do not want to be ripped off for Mason Mount. We do not want to be rinsed. And when we look up Mateo Kovacic going to Man City for 1 year left on his contract for £30 million, I think United have a very good argument here, a very good point that we need to stick to our guns. We need to be strong in situations like this. Rajat is down there as well. Good to see you, man. Yep, we are going to end up with Mount, you think. So let's talk about this. So Chelsea, they are going to be talking to Mason Mount's representatives. This is news breaking from Fabrizio Romano, the very reliable transfer journalist, of course, the man who we do trust with this sort of information. So Fabrizio has basically said Chelsea will enter into negotiations with Mount. They will be contacting the player. They will be contacting his agent to see where they are currently standing. But from a Chelsea point of view, this does not look good for them because, as Romano has said, and this is what I think is interesting. I think this is going to be the real deciding thing in this entire transfer debacle, this whole saga with Mason Mount. So Manchester United are still working on the deal. They have left the offer on the table. And Mason Mount today has made it very, very clear to Chelsea that if they do not sell him to Manchester United, he will walk away for free next season. That is coming from Fabrizio Romano, of course. And that, for me, is a very good that's a good update if you're a United fan. If we are sitting here, realistically, Mason Mount wants to join Manchester United. He is desperate to join United. He will not be signing any new contract. So even if this deal does not go ahead in this transfer window, what we could see is Mason Mount potentially joining next season for free. So I think United are in a good position with this. Moan is down there. Any update on the takeover? Yes, man. So some small updates to bring you guys, of course. Basically, everything that was said already yesterday has been doubled down on today in the press by different journalists and stuff. So I think this is going to be quite interesting to see where we stand. So talking about Sheikh Jassim, talking about what his plans might be for Manchester United, we are looking at what he is going to offer, what he is going to do, and he's going to get rid of a lot of the backroom staff, rid of a lot of the board, and look to invest his own people coming in. And we have comments coming in there from Andy, looking like another shocking transfer window we should be in for the likes of Rice and Caicedo, not being held ransom to Chelsea for a player who cannot get into their team. Thank you very much for that. Rajat says United have the advantage, and Mr. HIJACK is down there. How's it going, man? Good to see you back on the channel. So speaking of per transfer windows, that's what I'm asking you guys in the comments tonight. We are saying, has Erik ten Hag been let down once again by Manchester United? The options are yes, no, and let's find out. Maybe this is something we cannot tell at this point in time, but looking at everything that has gone on with first choice targets, the likes of Harry Kane not being brought to the club, no Osman, looks to be very little money available to Erik ten Hag. I would argue already he has been let down, and looking at what our rivals are doing, looking what they're going to bring to the table, I think it's disappointing. Rajat says, don't think Chelsea will want him to go for free. Yeah, I think that does give United the that gives United the sort of advantage here. It gives us something we can fall back on, is that threat from Mason Mount that he will not sign a new contract at Chelsea. They will either lose him for free or accept United's offer. There is no that's pretty much it, set in stone. Andy has said he has been let down massively, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so as well. Like, I actually have a video. I might try to get it up either tonight or filling that tomorrow morning. So it was kind of just a bit of a rant, really, because looking at this, I mean, Eric Ten Hag has done a very, very good job at United so far. Dealt with very difficult circumstances, finished third in the Premier League, won a trophy as well, with Anthony Martial as the only recognised striker going into the going into the season. So obviously, I think he's done a really big job, and he has done very, very well. When we went in January, needing to buy a striker, needing to buy a midfielder, we brought in Sabitzer on a loan deal. That's okay, I guess. But bringing in Weghorst when other teams were signed, when Chelsea, for instance, were spending 250 million, Southampton spent 60 million pounds, and United could not spend a single penny in that transfer window. We were dying to get Weghorst across the line. So, for anyone who is interested, some small things coming out from Reuters on this takeover. Just a small snippet left in the bottom of an article they did update. So basically, they've come out and doubled down on all their reports so far on the takeover issues. They're saying it's a very attractive option, and it does look like this is the favoured bid from the Glazers. Rajat, Andy is down there as well, saying let down. Absolutely. Mawan saying United will sign any goalkeeper. De Gea seems like he might sign a new deal. That does look like another thing that might happen. It has come out, of course, last night that Eric Ten Hag might have to keep David De Gea because the money might not be there to buy a new goalkeeper. I'm seriously wondering, how much money do we actually have? Is this some sort of negotiation tactic, or are United genuinely broke in this transfer window? Because every single player we are going for, we have had it driven down our throats from everybody in the media that United do not have a lot of money to spend in this transfer window. And of course, tomorrow will be a very interesting day. Tomorrow, United post their financial results for the last quarter, so maybe they're going to say United are in fact broke. If they do turn out to be really good profits, then we know that this is some negotiation tactic, some sort of Glazer tactic to try spend as little money as possible. Rajad is saying United were in for Gakpo and he didn't want to come. Sadly, Liverpool had money to pay. And Andy says as well, we should be in for Kim Min-jae, Caicedo, Rice, Osimhen, and looks like we will get Mount. He could be another Sancho. And Big T says Liverpool are making contact about Osimhen. Thank you very much for that one. And for anybody who actually is a member as well, I have managed to put a couple of emojis together, so feel free to use them. I don't actually know what they look like in a chat as well, so if anybody wants to drop some, that would be appreciated as well. So Rajat says Kovar could be number 3 goalkeeper, not too bad on development. Yeah, I think Kovar could be second choice. Maybe we keep Tom Heaton as the sort of emergency guy, and then we bring in Kovar to be second choice and bring in a new goalkeeper. That's what my preference would be. That's what I would like to see United do. But let's talk about this Mount deal. This is the big one. This is certainly where all the news is breaking from. So, of course, a lot of conflicting reports, and that's why we're asking you guys, is it deal or no deal? Is it going to happen? So, this is coming from Rob Dawson. So United's latest offer for Mason Mount remains on the table. It is still there. Inquiries have also been made regarding other targets. Brighton's Moises Caicedo, Ajax Mohamed Kudus, and FC Utrecht's Taylor Booth as well. Personally, out of all those players, would like to see some other players brought in. I mean, Caicedo would be the obvious one. He's the one we would love to see brought into Manchester United. Whether or not that actually happens, let's find out. It's all going to come down to budget, if you ask me. I think that's going to be the big determining factor. I can see some of the emojis going in there. Thank you very much for the Big T. Yeah, they actually don't look as bad as I thought they might have been. Let me just do that. I will work on bringing some more of them. Obviously, when more guys do join up as members and stuff as well, more emojis are available. But that's kind of what we're working with at the moment. Andy is saying as well, Liverpool will not buy Osimhen. They cannot afford him, and they could not afford Bellingham. I think that's a good point. I do think Liverpool are probably more hamstrung in this market than what they seem. But I'm not too concerned about Liverpool because they're capable of buying someone like Alexis McAllister for 35 million pounds. So those are deals that Liverpool can do that United simply cannot. If we went in for Alexis McAllister, we would be told £60 million. No doubt about it, because we have a reputation for overpaying, and we always have had this reputation. It is frustrating, but that's what's going to happen. Rajat is saying Mount is not 30 million cheaper than world-class Bellingham. No way, absolutely. And Rajat says, who's your favourite Ten Hag signing so far? It's a good question, man. I think overall, if we're talking favourite signings, I think I'll probably say, if we're talking favourite, I think Lisandro Martinez, because I just love how he plays. I love the aggression in his game, the way he reads the game as well. His passing out from the back is brilliant. If we're talking best signing, probably Casemiro just edges it a little bit for me. But favourite signing, I'm going to go for Lisandro Martinez. Let me see as well, loads of guys are joining in. Good to see everybody on this Sunday. Lucky Singh says, Rabiot, let's get Caicedo and bid now. And Ronnie Wilson says, the United way is on Sky right now. Very good. Thank you very much for that one, man, as well. Funny enough, actually, a funny story. The United way was actually a name I had considered for the channel at one point before, of course, I remembered that it actually was its own thing. So I'm like, yeah, let's not get a copyright against that. Stephanie's down there. Big ups. Good to see you, Stephanie. Thank you very much for joining in with us. So Mount, it's kind of the big one at the minute. This is kind of the ongoing story, the unwinding drama that we were all seeing playing out. It's frustrating because I would love United just to have this deal done or walk away from the deal. I hate when we drag things on. It goes on for a very long time, but there are a lot of things to get through here. So all parties do believe that the deal gets done, according to Graham Bailey. And as well as that, Sambi McBell says Chelsea officials are understood to be coming around to the idea of finding a middle ground for Mason Mount this summer. This is the best solution for all parties. So I think Chelsea are kind of like, let's hope that we have managed to scare them. Let's hope we have managed to bring them back to the negotiation table, because I think Chelsea have been looking for an unrealistic amount this entire transfer window. So I think United are completely right to threaten to walk away. Let me see. Comments are coming in as well. Big T says they can afford him. And if Saudi buys Salah, anything could happen, of course, with the Saudis. Lucky Singh says, Rabiot, let's get the management team, let's get Rabiot in. I think Rabiot would be a very good player to bring in on a free transfer. I would like to see that signing as well. Rosat says Anthony is still unproven at Ajax, and Rabiot and his good mum come. Of course, it goes down to Rabiot's mum why he did not sign last season. For anybody not in the loop, Rabiot actually is his agent is his mother, and she's notoriously difficult to deal with for boards and executives. She sometimes waits in the car park for the manager to come out if he hasn't picked Rabiot, so all that could happen. Abshir is saying we're tired to see the Glazers. Absolutely. And Rajat says, can we sell our deadwood to Saudi? I mean, I would love that. If any club in Saudi Arabia would like to come with a £100 million offer for Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, Anthony Martial, feel free. I would absolutely love to see that. I'm sure you guys would as well. So, of course, this deal is dragging on and on and on. So, very reliable reporter here for BBC, Simon Stone, has said Chelsea are thought to want at least £58 million plus £7 million in add-ons for Mount. However, United feel that is excessive, with Mount only having 1 year left on his contract. So, I mean, I think it's like, I think United clearly want this deal done. United want to get the deal done. United want Mason Mount. Eric Ten Hag wants Mason Mount. Mason Mount wants Manchester United. The sole hold-up, the sole thing that's holding all this deal back is Chelsea Football Club. Now, Chelsea are demanding a ludicrous amount of money. Whether United choose to walk away, I wouldn't blame them in this situation. I think Eric Ten Hag will be disappointed, but I think he will understand. If he is working with a tiny budget, he cannot be spending so much money on Mason Mount when we need a striker, when we need a goalkeeper. So I think it's a difficult situation. On one hand, we want to back the manager, get him the players he wants. But on the same hand, we're like, if we spend half our budget on Mount, then we're going to have to go without a goalkeeper or without a striker. So we need some sort of proper resolution on this Mount deal. A deal that will suit Manchester United, ideally. Stephanie's saying meeting them halfway at 55 million. We offered 40. They wanted 70, so 55 is dead on halfway. Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea will need to get the calculator out and realise what half of that is. Of course, £30 million difference, 55. I think personally, if United say, let's cut the add-ons, let's offer £55 million upfront payment for Mason Mount, I think that gets it done. Whether or not we do that, I don't know. United do love add-ons. We do love that as well. Lucky Singh says we're buying Mount at 63 million. No chance. I mean, I hope not. I hope we do not spend over that much money. And Rajat is right. Mason Mount was wanted by both Liverpool and Arsenal as well in this transfer window. But he wants United. That has been very, very clear from the beginning. Mason Mount wants to sign for Manchester United. I don't blame him. I think he must feel very frustrated. Big T says we're arguing over add-ons. We should just get him and Bagger for signing. I would love to say that as well, man. Honestly, like, we know what United operate in the transfer window. We know how Chelsea operate in the transfer window. So I think it's very frustrating. I'm sure Mason Mount is a very frustrated man right now. And for Mount to come out and confirm to Chelsea that he will either join United this summer or walk away and join them for free next summer, I think that is him making a big statement that he wants to come. Let me see as well. Who else is down there? Lucky Singh says we're not interested, and Chelsea are stupid guys. Absolutely, Chelsea are definitely what we would call stupid guys on the channel. Completely right there, man. So let's talk about some other players. So players potentially going out of Manchester United. Let's talk Anthony Elanga. So of course this has come from the Daily Mail. Simon Jones is writing, Borussia Dortmund want to sign Anthony Elanga. They're willing to offer up to £10 million for the Swedish forward. Whether we think this is a good deal or not, I would like your guys' opinions, because I think we should sell Elanga, but I think we can definitely sell him for more money than £10 million. I think we should be getting 15 to 20 for a guy who has a lot of first-team experience, has scored some first-team goals. He's a Swedish international. I think Dortmund are looking to do a deal for them that might be good on the cheap. So I think what United need to do is give us 15 or give us 20. That's what they have to do. I think £10 million is nowhere near enough as well. Let me see as well. Who else is down in the comments? Fans don't get excited about transfers. Absolutely not, man. It is annoying, because I used to love the transfer market. Like, it used to be a very exciting time. Now, obviously, as we know, United, we get linked to 500 players per summer transfer window. That is a fact, because we get stuck on the end of headlines. We get put into fake rumors to get clicks, to get interactions on social media, sell newspapers, and it is frustrating. I think what we like to do is look to the people who have proven to be reliable in the past, and we choose to follow them. So I think when we see the likes of Romano, Simon Stone, Ornstein saying we will go back in for Mount, that we haven't took our offer off the table, I would believe that. When I see Romano say, oh, that we're gonna Mason Mount has told Chelsea he will leave for free, I would believe that. But there's a lot of guys I wouldn't believe as well. I wouldn't trust them as far as I would throw them, honestly. Let me see as well who is in the comment. Big T saying I'd swap Elanga for Marco Reus. That could be an interesting one as well, man, for sure. Perhaps maybe we go for what's the Dortmund goalkeeper called? Kobel? I think maybe if we go for Kobel, say we'll give you £10 million plus Elanga. Maybe they take it. I don't know. Stephanie is down there. If Ten Hag wanted these 5 signings, Onana, Kim, Mount, Højlund, and Kane, we only got 2. Which would you get and would be happy with that? I think honestly, out of that list, if I was just to pick 2 players, I would probably go for Onana, and I would probably go for Harry Kane. I think that would be the biggest upgrades in terms of what we need. That would give us the goalkeeper we need to build out from the back. It would give us the striker we need to score goals at the other end. I think that addresses 2 of the fundamental issues in this team. Obviously, then I would say midfielder, but that could be my priorities. I would say goalkeeper, striker, and then midfielder, or you can put striker as number 1 priority and go for midfielder. That's what I would like to do. Rashad says hurry up and get the transfers done and get Julian Brandt. And Big T says I wouldn't say no to Haller either. I think Haller is a very good player, and I think obviously did very, very well at Ajax under Erik ten Hag. Could be a very interesting signing for Manchester United. So let's talk about what Jason Burt has to say. So he says Manchester United are believing the ball is in Chelsea's court, and they have made a very good offer for Mason Mount. So I think that's a good point. I think we've done all we can. But let's talk about what Jason Burt has also said, because this is something that is a little bit interesting, and I'm sure you guys would be interested in this one. And it says ideally Manchester United do want to sign 2 midfielders this summer, Mason Mount and 1 more, but it depends on departures. Obviously, we said last night, we had a report from Samuel Luckhurst. He was saying that basically what United would like to do is sell a lot of players, but it comes down to replacing those players. So you can basically translate that to United are open to sell players who will have no chance of playing, the likes of Eric Bailly, Alex Telles, Brandon Williams. maybe not so open to sell a McTominay or a Maguire, because then they have to go around and replace those players in the squad. But the squad will not get better until you do that. You have to have that ambition, much more than anything else. The whole squad is required to win trophies in modern day football. That's what we have to do. We need to be seeing whole squads. We can't just have 11 good players. And I recorded a video on this earlier, as I was saying on it, right? If we have 11 good players, that's still not good enough, because you're going to get injuries, you're going to get suspensions, players will need rest. And if you have a whole squad full of players who the manager doesn't trust, who cannot play the way the manager wants them to play, he's going to have no real choice but either to sacrifice his beliefs and how he wants the team to line up on the pitch, or he's going to have to run his players into the ground. And we've seen this last season with Erik ten Hag. We had a lot of players play far too many matches. Bruno Fernandes, the guy must have played 100 matches last season. Marcus Rashford, Casemiro played nearly every single match available. Varane was always playing as well. Martinez when he was fit. But I would like the option to be able to rotate those guys, and I think that makes you a much more competitive team. Big T says, Pulisic, the Manchester United fan, has told Chelsea he wants to leave. I'm not surprised about that. And Lucky Singh says, has the Caicedo bid gone in? Not yet, man. There has been no real update in terms of an actual bid. I think what Rajat is saying there is an interesting idea, though. Maybe we do like to go in for a Lavia. Maybe Lavia could be the guy we go for if Mount does not come. Maybe that could be the option. But here's one I think a lot of you guys will like, and I think Lucky Singh is going to enjoy this here one. I think he will like this. Let me just double check this here one. So, along with Moises Caicedo, Mohamed Kudus and Taylor Booth are both seen as Mason Mount alternatives to bolster the midfield for Manchester United. That is coming from Rob Dawson. So I think that's a good one. I'm sure Lucky Singh is going to be happy with that. Links to Mohamed Kudus at long last. Jamie Fletcher's down there as well, saying, do you think we'll get a takeover update this week? And do you think Qatar will win? Okay, let's talk about the takeover. So, do I think United will have a takeover update this week? Yes, absolutely I do. And I will tell you guys why, because I've been holding on to this for a while. I've been telling you guys this week, Manchester United have our AGM meeting on the 20th. So what's that, Wednesday? It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. So basically that will allow shareholders to ask questions directly to the board, vote for who's going to be directors, who's going to be in charge of what departments within the club. I think we're going to find something out regarding the takeover. I mean, if you are someone who has money invested in Manchester United and you have the opportunity to ask questions to either the Glazer family or to the board, you're going to take that option and you're going to want to find out what's happening with this takeover for sure. Jimmy Fletcher says, what's a takeover update? In terms of what we have for updates, we have a couple of things have come in. So let's have a quick look at them. And so basically what Sheikh Tassim, and this is coming out from the Daily Express, I believe, they are saying that he could replace a number of the United hierarchy and would look to put people who he trusts. The CEO, Richard Arnold, Director of Football John Murdoch could be on the line, as well as Technical Director Darren Fletcher. So that's a good one. I think that's good because those guys, time and time again, they've let this team down, they've let the club down. They are not qualified to be in their position. In terms of other stuff, let's see what else we have. So this is coming from Manchester Evening News. The Glazers have told Sheikh Tassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe neither will be granted exclusivity talks in terms of this negotiations. And Reuters as well, they have doubled down on their report that the Glazers are finding the Qatari bid to be the most attractive in terms of what they're being offered. Let me see who else we have down here. The comments are popping off. So Lucky Singh is saying Aston Villa, West Ham and Everton will pick these players. And Rajat says, hope we at least get Højlund, Lavia, centre back, maybe a right back, Onana and Mount will come. I hope so. I absolutely hope so. I think that could be a very nice transfer window up. For sure, that's what I'd like to see from Manchester United. Let me see as well. Stephanie is saying, if we get Mount, I think Donny's gone, but I could be wrong as Ten Hag to give him another chance. I don't think so. I think if we have Bruno and we have Mount playing in similar positions, Christian Eriksen there as well, I think they're all ahead of Donny van de Beek. I think Van de Beek will be moved on this window, I think, either on loan or on sale. It will be another failure if we fail to move Donny van de Beek on, if we fail to sell him. If he goes out on loan, it'll just be like Eric Bailly, just be like Alex Telles, players who we had actually forgot still play for Manchester United coming back. Stephanie is saying AGM anti-Glazer meeting, absolutely. And Lee Sharp saying, what I've read, deal was agreed weeks ago, all about timing for all involved. And Lucky Singh says this Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. And Lee Sharp says, if the CEO asks you if you fancy A submarine brick. Oh dear, man. That was quite something this week, honestly, man. What a crazy week in terms of world events and things going down. Any more thoughts, guys? Shoot them into the comments, of course. And we are running a poll as well. So I'm asking you guys: has Erik ten Hag been let down again by Manchester United? The options are yes, no, and let's find out by the end of the transfer window. It looks like we're heading down towards Erik ten Hag being let down. We're looking at first choice targets not being brought in: Harry Kane, Osimhen, Kim Min Jae, potentially Onana not coming in, maybe can we speak? Maybe missing out on Mason Mount. That is a tongue twister and a half for you guys. Jimmy is saying as well, I think it's between Qatar and the Glazers. I think Radcliffe is out of the race. I think Radcliffe is probably still in the race, but I think he will be pretty much sitting, knowing that he's probably fallen behind Sheikh Dussem. I think Sheikh Dussem and Qatar, by all the news we have, by all the updates, it does look like those guys are taking the lead on the takeover race. Rajat says it looks like Fred ahead of Donny and will be protesting tomorrow. Let's find out. And DL is saying, who's going to be the second midfielder? Do you think it's true about Elanga to Dortmund? I think if we're talking second midfielder, I think we're probably looking at Adrien Rabiot. That's a free transfer. That's an easy deal to complete. Should he not sign that Juventus contract that was offered to him, the final one, of course. So if it's going to happen, I think it has to happen quickly. In terms of the Elanga deal, now, I think this is an interesting one. I think Dortmund have had a long-standing interest in Anthony Elanga. We heard this last season. Now, at the price quoted, £10 million, I think that's a very good deal for Dortmund if they choose to buy him. I think United, we should be looking for more. I think we could sell Elanga for £15 million, maybe more. This is a guy who has played a lot of first-team football. He is a current Swedish international player. So I do think we could see Anthony Elanga moving on to Dortmund. I think that's absolutely. Big T says, did you hear an F1 company wants to buy a Premier League football club? No, I didn't hear that one, man, but I will check that out, of course. Lee as well is saying Erik ten Hag will always be let down. Is Man United. Absolutely, man. They are definitely letting United down once again. It is unfortunate. It is the world we live in and the club we support. This is what we do. We let the manager down. We let the fans down. And I think it's very frustrating because we can all see the progress. We can see what's happened last season. We look at a team that went from our worst ever Premier League points tally to a team now that finished, like third in the league. We got to a cup final and we won another trophy. So I think that's very disappointing. I would like to see United genuinely try to push on. Let me see as well who's done the comment. Jimmy is saying we won't get Caicedo, so mind him for Chelsea to give us Mount. It could be that definitely could be the I think that's a real possibility. I think that's probably what has happened here. United are kind of like, if you don't give us Mount, we're going to take your number one target. That's what we're going to do. We're going to steal him from under your nose, whether we have the money to do so. I sincerely doubt it. We've pulled out of a lot of deals because they've been too expensive. Now you're telling me we're going to go and buy Moises Caicedo for £70 million plus. I doubt it. I really doubt that. Lee Sharp says, imagine a transfer windows paid. F1 could work. That could be interesting, man. I would love to see United genuinely just operate like a big club. That's what I would love to see for Manchester United. I want to see us come out here and actually do something, be efficient, get the business done, get the players in, give the manager what he wants. That's what I want to see. Whether or not we get that, I don't know. I really hope we do, though, for sure. Any more thoughts, guys? Keep getting them into the comments. And, of course, the poll is down there as well. In terms of other stuff happening around Manchester United, let's have a look. I do have quite the note, the note section for tonight's show. A lot of it, of course, revolving around Mason Mount and his potential signing. So, let me see. Where are we sitting here? So we actually have an update from Jason Burt. Now, this is coming from the Telegraph. So Jason Burt last season was pretty reliable. So that's why we are quoting him, of course. So he has come out and said, terms are agreed with De Gea over a new deal, but both parties are unsure if it will be signed. Manchester United also have to decide whether they want to sell Henderson and use those funds to buy a new goalkeeper. Now, I think regardless of what happens with David De Gea, I would sell... I would definitely be selling Dean Henderson because I think he really sealed his United fate. That interview with TalkSport last season was very disrespectful. I think we need to move them on. I think, personally, in a dream world, what I would love to see United do is move David De Gea on. I think club legend, but I think where we want to be, I think a new goalkeeper, someone who is able to do the stuff in possession, someone who can come off the line, claim the crosses. I think that's what I would like to see. I would like to see United have a fresh start with a goalkeeping position. No disrespect to David De Gea, he has been brilliant for us over the seasons, but I do think that it is time for him to move on. Now, if you're telling me honestly that Erik ten Hag is a man who wants to have a team that holds a lot of possession, builds out from the back, playing the Dutch style football, what the exact style of football he had at Ajax. If you're telling me that he really wants David De Gea to be the #1 goalkeeper, a guy who cannot do the possession-based stuff, I don't believe you. I do not think that Erik ten Hag genuinely wants that. And I think that what United are trying to do is saying here, if we let David De Gea go, we have to buy another player to replace him. And this is something that all comes back to what Luckhurst and what Manchester Evening News were saying last night. They were saying that United are reluctant to sell too many players because they are worried about replacing them. So that's what it's coming down to. We need to sell players. We don't have a budget, and we're scared to let De Gea go, scared to sell Harry Maguire or McTominay or Fred or Brandon Williams or Van de Beek or Martial because it might cost us some money to go out and replace those players. I mean, this genuinely would not happen at any other top 6 club. No other big club in England would be in this situation where we have an ownership, where we have a board who are saying these players, yes, we know they're not good enough, we know they're not what you want, but what we're going to do is we're going to make you work with them, because if we sell them, we will sell them for literally no money because we are crap at selling, and then we're going to spend a lot of money to try bring them in. So it is absolutely crap, absolutely awful, man. Absolutely agree with you guys. And let me see who's in the comments. Ashade is down there saying good evening to you, Ashade. Thank you very much for joining in. Onana as well says Dan, and Lucky Singh says McTominay out Aston Villa or Everton, and Razat says need 16 good players to compete for the Premier League title. I would agree with that. I think we do need more players. I think at the moment, Manchester United, we haven't got a starting 11 good enough to compete for the title. I think that's the first thing you need to do. First thing you need to do is have your first 11 good enough to play for the title. Then you need to work on the squad. And you cannot neglect the squad because you need it. If you think back to the best ever Manchester United team, the treble winning team, I believe, and I am right in saying, that the team of Schmeichel, Neville, Stam, Johnson, Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane, Scholes, Giggs, Beckham, Cole and York, they only played together one time that whole season. I believe that is a bit of a legend, that they only played together once that entire season. That shows the value of the strength of the squad. And if you look at what Man City have, for instance, those guys can bring De Bruyne off the bench and put Phil Foden on. I mean, United, if we go out and we want to take Casemiro off, we have our choice between Fred or McTominay. I mean, you will never compete. You will never ever compete at that level for that there stuff. Lee Sharp is saying another Fabian Barthez, and Big T is saying Tim Howard. Yeah, I mean, some shocking goalkeepers at United over the years. I mean, if anybody remembers Roy Carroll, Northern Irish guy from Belfast, so just up the road from me, of course, as well. So that's another one, was a very poor goalkeeper. Daniel's down there as well. Good to see you, Daniel. Thank you very much for joining in with us, man. Yeah, so obviously very, very disappointed at the where we're going at the moment. I'm hoping to see some progress. I think Lucky Singh's right. McTominay, Alex Telles, Eric Bailly and Elanga should go, absolutely. I think there's a lot more players. I think when we can point at, what, like 10 players and say that we should be moving them on, I think that's a real shame, because if you went to Man City and you moved 10 players out of their first team squad, they would miss them. There's 10 players at United who we wouldn't miss. We wouldn't miss Henderson or Maguire or Brandon Williams, Eric Bailly, Alex Telles, and then we're looking at Van de Beek, we're looking at Martial, looking at Elanga, we are looking probably then Phil Jones, of course, Dean Henderson. So there's a lot of players who we can let them go. Antonis, that is a brilliant shout. Massimo Tabai, and Shahan says as well, the players need to go. Maguire, Telles, McTominay, DDG, Martial, and then bring some in. Thank you very much for that. And Lee Sharp would say McTominay would fit into a lot of teams. Yeah, I completely agree. I think McTominay is a good player. Make no mistake about it. Is he suited to what Erik ten Hag wants? I don't think so. He will never have the ability to play 60, 70, 80 passes in a match. He does not have that ability. Can he go to a Newcastle, a West Ham, an Aston Villa and do very well for himself? Absolutely, he could. Absolutely, because he's a good player. He works hard. He is physical. He can get up and down the pitch. He can score goals. He can tackle. So McTominay, yeah, he could have a very good Premier League career, probably just not at Manchester United. Let me see as well who we got. Pranay says, Shame United aren't even trying for James Maddison. Bruno needs to play lesser games. Yeah, I would like to see James Maddison at United. I would like to see Mount at United. I hope that what we can do is really improve this squad. That is one of the biggest things. Now, we have young players coming through. There are definitely young players who can step into the gap. But I think if you're looking to compete, what you basically need is 11 first choice players, hopefully as close to world class as possible. Then what you need on your bench is 4 to 5 players who can come on and be swapped into the team, and you will not lose the quality. So that's what you need. You need around 15 to 16 top level players. Then from there, fill out the rest of the squad. You know, from there, you can fill out, if we have a squad of 25, so that's 16 players. If we have 4 young players from the academy, so that's 20. And then we have some experienced players, some versatile players, guys who do come in and do their part when needed. Somebody like Fred would be perfect for that. Someone to come on late in a match if we need to chase the match down, or if we want to go more pressing, or if we have coming up against a team with a De Bruyne or someone who can man mark. But whenever the likes of Fred, Maguire, McTominay are either not at Man United or they are relegated to only coming on from time to time when absolutely necessary, that's going to be a sign that we are moving in the right direction. Let me see as well who we've got in the comments. Stephanie says proper clubs remove players and then replace. Yeah, I mean, I think United need to be brave here and say, okay, let's move on McTominay, let's move on Fred, Maguire, guys like that. And then from there, we can go on and invest in the team, know what we need to get. I mean, you cannot invest in a team, say, let's go bring in a striker, a goalkeeper, a midfielder, and then have no budget left. And then you're saying, okay, we're going to sell McTominay, we're going to sell Fred, we'll keep Maguire. So all of a sudden, then you need an extra midfielder. So you need to get the players out first, then you improve the squad, you improve the first team, and you actually be kind of ambitious with it. Antonis is saying, do you think Rashford will work in a possession playing team? I think so, yeah. I think what Rashford offers, I think, yeah, I don't think what United want to do, and I don't think Erik ten Hag will necessarily have the same sort of possession numbers that Pep Guardiola has at Man City. I think he has his own transitional style as well. He does definitely delve into a pressing game as well. So I think Rashford can be interesting and he can be very useful. Now, I think overall what we could look at is you have a lot of players who will hold a lot of the ball. Of course, you will have hopefully a striker who will be involved in the build-up. So then we have a striker, then we have Anthony on the right, plays a lot of passes. We got Bruno, we got Mount, potentially, we got Eriksen, Casemiro. There's a lot of guys there. He will hold the ball, will create the build-up structure. And we've seen at Ajax that he had players who maybe weren't overly as much involved as the other guys were. Anthony at Ajax did have slightly less of the ball. Haller didn't touch a lot of the ball. So I think he can work it in. Erik ten Hag will look at Rashford. He will see a player who scored 30 goals last season, and I think he will want to keep that in the team. Shaheen says as well, we need to bring in Caicedo, Kim Min-jae, Osimhen, Højlund, Mount, and Diogo Costa. Thank you very much for that. And Lee Sharp says, I am undecided about Rashi as well. And Abibi is saying, all I want is better for Man United. I think that's a very good message, and I think that's what we all want. We want better for this club, better than what we've had for the last 18 years under Glazer ownership. I think everybody's right to have questions about Rashford and stuff. I think if he does it again next season, I think there'll be a lot less questions. I think, okay, we look at his last 4 seasons. He scored 22 goals, 23 goals, scored 5 goals, and then he scored 30 goals last season. If he goes back and scores 20 plus goals next season, then I think we have a player there who that is his level. So I think what Rashford has to do is replicate the form. I think a lot of United wouldn't have finished where we did in the league. We wouldn't have won a trophy if not for Rashford last season. He was the top goal scorer by a long distance, but I think if we get players in around him, he will be better as well. I think we notice Rashford more because we are very reliant on the goals that he brings. When he doesn't score or he's in a poor run of form, I think United suffer as a team. If those goals are more shared out, I think United are in a better position. Antonis as well says, I need to see a good Sancho as well as a better option than Rashford. I mean, I have always liked Jadon Sancho. I've always liked him as a player. Honestly, I was very excited when we brought him in. I still think there's a player in there. Make no mistake about this. I think what we need to see from Jadon Sancho is the opposite of what we get from Anthony. So it sounds kind of silly, but I mean, this is what I would say. So Anthony is a player who has a lot of shots. He's very decisive, probably over decisive, tries to make too much things happen at once. I think Sancho is guilty of the opposite, not having enough end product, not having enough cutting edge, not being willing to take shots and stuff. So I think if Sancho can up his game in that regard, be more decisive, I think you've got a player there. I think in times last season he was very impressive. Let's hope that he finally can kick on. I think this will be a very big season for Jadon Sancho overall. I think what he has to do is go out and really have the best season he's had for Manchester United by far. This could be one of his last opportunities to really stamp his authority and really stamp down a first team position. Let me see as well. Lee Sharp is saying, is it 18 years really? Yep, 2005, man. Burnett is saying, I think De Gea needs to be honest about himself and not renew. I think De Gea is more willing to renew than Manchester United are at the moment. I think that's a big thing. I think what De Gea is willing to do and what United seem to want to do is let David De Gea's contract run out. Now, whether that's a two-tier thing, maybe we want his contract to run out so that we can go and offer him a lesser contract. Maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe that's a negotiation tactic. I hope we're going to be decisive, and I hope that we manage to bring in a new goalkeeper, because I think it will genuinely change so much of the team. Let me see as well. Tom is down there. Liverpool readying a £70 million for Barella. He's a baller for sure. And Lucky Singh says, let's do the contract quickly and move on Rabiot. And Lee Sharp as well saying, yeah, Brighton definitely are a team who plays the team, and I think that's a big thing for Manchester United. Ice is down there as well. I just found your channel. Absolutely agree about Sancho. The sooner we find out, the better. It's dragging us down. Absolutely, man. Thank you very much for the comment and for joining in with us. So, yeah, I completely agree. I just want to see more from Sancho. He is frustrating because when he does what we know he can do, it's brilliant. It's just getting that out of him. It's dragging it out of him. And how do we do that? I don't know. Whether he needs an arm around his shoulder, or if he needs some tough love, what's the best motivator for Sancho. But I think he just needs, I don't know, like some sort of a kick, some sort of a go and do it. Like, you have the ability, now go and show us. Andy Oates saying, I have scouted. I really wonder what the scouts and analysts are doing. Honestly, man, I do agree. I wonder what they're doing as well. I'm just like, what are we doing here? What are we actually doing? Because big players we've missed out on. We've missed out on a lot of players over the years, let players go who probably should have stayed, missed out on young players. I mean, the biggest one I always come back to is Phil Foden was playing in Manchester and United never picked him up. I mean, if this was under Ferguson, we would have had Phil Foden in this team probably, because we would have, a player of that quality would have been picked up. So I don't know what the scouts are doing. Ollie is down there as well. Ten Hag is massively being let down. He should be backed. He deserves it. Yes, absolutely. And Eric says, using our spot in the Champions League and the transfer market is vital to attract players, because we might not have it next year. Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing. So honestly, as much as it pains to say me, like, and it goes against a lot of what I believe, but if United have to go out in this transfer window, and if what we have to do is bring in and spend money on credits or something like that, then do it, because there will be a bigger repercussion if we do miss out on Champions League football next season. If it is going to be Sheikh Jassim coming in, who's going to pay the debt off anyway, maybe he can just pay the credit card bill. Maybe that's what we do. I don't know. Mr. Shack Attack, Martinelli was at United for a trial and we didn't take him. I can actually do that. I can actually do you one better, man, as well. He was on trial twice. So we had Martinelli playing twice for United. The game highlights are actually out there. I've seen them on Twitter and stuff. We could have had him, absolutely. And Lucky Singh says, Rabiot contract's now on. And Lee Sharp says, lots of talent in the UK. Some youths are awesome. It's the same in boxing too. Yeah, I mean, what United need to just do is, like, fix up the scouting system, because it can make a big difference. So we have a small update. Let me bring this for you guys. So this is regarding Moises Caicedo. Chelsea have told Brighton they will not ask the asking price of more than £80 million for Moises Caicedo. So a big money move for Caicedo. If Chelsea are unwilling to pay that sort of asking price, I think maybe they accept the Mount deal and put the money towards that. Maybe that's what Chelsea do. Maybe that's how it gets resolved. Chelsea says, yep, we've got that as well. They'll actually put it in at the same time as you, man. And Kasumi is saying, I'm Kasumi from Nairobi, Kenya. We better go for Caicedo, £80 million to go for Mount at 65. Thank you very much for that one, man. I agree. I think if we're going to spend 65 million and go and buy Mount, then 15 million extra for Caicedo, big upgrade. And I think it's the same for a lot of players. It's like if we're going to spend 100 million on Rasmus Højlund, why not spend 120 million on Osimhen, or go out and buy Gonzalo Ramos for the same money? That's what I think we should be doing. As well, Antonis is down there. Sadly, this is a very important transfer window, and it's not the best time for us to grow a pair and walk away from players Erik ten Hag wants. Completely agree, and I can see now, I can see why we've seen briefs, we've seen PR and stuff, media stuff coming out from the Qataris saying that they wanted the deal done as quickly as possible because they know how important this transfer window is. United, we are actually in a good position going into this, in that we have finished third and we are progressing as a team, and then all of a sudden we're not going to spend the players, not get the first choices that we need and we want. Let me see as well. DL's down there. United gonna bid for Højlund tomorrow. What do you think about him? Or do you want experience up front? I think the thing is with Højlund now, I think he would be a very, very good signing for United. I think at his age, he probably could do with somebody else coming in. Now, there has been talk that United would like not one, but two strikers. Ideally, a young striker and an experienced striker. Now, when we see links last week to Mehdi Taremi from Porto, are we seeing links to other experienced strikers? Maybe that could be more of an option. Go in for somebody who will come in and take a lot of the weight off Højlund's shoulders whilst he settles down. The guy is only 21. We've seen this before with Antony, with Sancho, spending big money on a young player. It can take a while to get a lot out of them, for sure, and that price tag can weigh them down. Andy as well, saying why spend £60 million for Mount when we can get Caicedo? Absolutely, I think when we are looking at that level of investment, yeah, I completely agree. I think Mount, a realistic fee for Mason Mount would be around about £40 million. That's what I think is a fair fee. That's probably based on what he's worth. Maybe at that, it's even too much with 1 year left on his contract. I think anything over that, we are overpaying. I think 55 is really overpaying. I think if we go to 65 like Chelsea want, then we have been rinsed once again. As well, Lucky Singh is saying the good news, Chelsea will not pay the money, and Pranay is saying Højlund will be 60 million max, but we need to get Onana for 50. Thank you very much for that one as well. Yeah, completely agree with you. I think if we bring in a midfielder, we bring in a striker and a goalkeeper, I think that will make such a big difference to how this team basically plays. I think it will fundamentally change the team for sure. Let me see as well. Honestly, I'm just checking like Twitter and stuff here for latest news. People make headlines out of anything. We got Garnacho liking an Instagram post from Højlund. I mean, come on. Like, let me see as well. Big T says, thought we finished third. Yep, we did finish third. And Pernez says as well, United do business early, the players will be cheaper, but United love to do business in the last week. Yep, absolutely. And Lee Sharp says £37.5 million tops. I'm assuming that's for Mason Mount, so thank you very much for that. I think he's a similar level to Alexis McAllister, and I think that's the level we should have been paying, 35-40 million pounds. I think that is a very fair deal. Any more thoughts, guys? Get them in down below, and if you guys are new as well, please consider hitting the sub button. Really helps the channel grow, and I would love you guys to be part of the community. And as well as that, we do actually now have memberships on the channel if anyone's interested. I know Big T is a member and he's got some exclusive emojis and stuff. That is the pinned comment in the chat as well. So Liman is saying we've overpaid so much in the past, it will not make a difference if we pay 20 or 30 more for a player in the future. And Lucky as well saying time to contact Rabiot and Caicedo, let's get it done. I would like United just to go out and do something. Honestly, man, it is so draining at the moment. We want to see some progress. That's what we want, and it feels like for absolutely everything we're doing the same thing. We're dragging everything out. Everything is going on for so much longer than what it actually needs to be. And it's the same with this takeover. The takeover should have been done months ago. United should have had players bought months ago. So it is very, very disappointing. We want to see progress. We want to see this club actually go somewhere. Are we getting that? Absolutely not at the moment. Let me see as well. Kasimi is saying let's buy Caicedo for 80 and then we bring in Rabiot for free. Buy a centre back and we will be in good shape next season. That could be a very nice transfer window. Would like to see a goalkeeper or a striker brought in. But in terms of polls and stuff, guys, check out the poll as well if you guys haven't voted already. I am asking you guys, is Erik ten Hag being let down again? And at the moment, we have 85% of you guys are saying yes, 6% are saying no, and 9% say let's find out by the end of the transfer window. So I think that's I think that's good to see as well. So thank you for voting on that one as well. Lucky Singh has said Caicedo bid please and Rabiot in quick. And Andy is saying Sancho overpaid, Anthony massively overpaid. And those are only £40 million players, not £80 million plus. And Lee is well saying Old United won because of squad depth and great rotation. We haven't got squad depth. City can't put two first teams out. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, completely agree. Squad depth so important when you want to win every trophy in a season. You need to have that depth. You have to be able to account for injuries, suspensions, drops in form. So that's what you have to do. That's absolutely correct there, and I do agree with you. And as well, just as to what Andy was saying, £40 million players and not £80 million plus. Where do we put Harry Maguire on that? Because Harry Maguire was probably a £20 million player, and we paid £80 million for him. So I think it's so frustrating, man. Honestly, like when we look at I actually have it here as well. I actually put it in the notes because this came out from, I believe it's Mullock from the Mirror. So this is going to contextualize everything for you guys. This is going to be something that does frustrate you a lot. It frustrated me whenever I seen it, so you guys will definitely be feeling it the same. And that says, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired over a decade ago, Manchester United have spent £1.4 billion on new players. Let's just let that sink in for a moment. £1.4 billion across 10 seasons. So every season we spent on average £140 million. Where, first of all, a lot of those players are not even at the club anymore. A lot of those players are not good enough for what we want to do. We have spent so much money on so many players who just have not been good at all. And I'm sure everybody's saying that as well. We can see Pernez saying unwise spending. Absolutely. And as we know, spending money does not just make you successful. You have to buy the right players. You have to bring in people who are going to work long term in your system. United, what we have done is go, Harry Maguire's had a good World Cup, let's buy him. United have gone, Paul Pogba, let's bring him back. That'll be interesting. Then they've said, instead of actually looking at any systems, any sort of long-term planning, that is disgraceful. Le Mans is saying, why are you asking if Ten Hag is being let down? Didn't he know the situation United before coming on? Come on, he knows how well the club was run. I'm sure he did know how well the club was run, absolutely, and he did ask questions. I think what Erik Ten Hag's frustrations are coming from, why I think he is being let down, is last year in the transfer window we wanted Frankie de Jong, we wanted Timber, we didn't get either of those players. We went into the January window, we wanted Cody Gakpo, we wanted a striker, we got Wout Weghorst. He's come into this transfer window amid talk of the sale being done by the end of March. Hasn't been done. So Erik Ten Hag has been let down over and over again because everything has been dragged out and made such a long, excruciating process. He has missed out on top targets already this summer. All we heard all season was Erik Ten Hag wants Harry Kane. Harry Kane is the striker we want. We're not going to get him now. We wanted Kim Min-jae. We're not going to get Kim Min-jae. We wanted Diogo Costa. We're not going to get Diogo Costa. We wanted as well Moises Caicedo. Perhaps we're not going to get him. We wanted Mason Mount, and we're probably not going to get him either. So I think it's a lot of fake promises, a lot of false promises, a lot of disappointments for Erik Ten Hag. I think he has been let down, all things considered. And I think what we have managed to achieve this season and hopefully going forward will be in spite of everything going on around him, in spite of the ownership and the board. It will not be because of them. So I think that's a big important distinction to make. DL is saying as well, it's going to quit on Diassi. What about Kim? Is it 100% Bayern? It does look to be that way. It looks like personal terms have been agreed. It does look like we have lost out in Kim Min-jae to Bayern Munich. It looks like Napoli will be selling him once the release clause kicks in on the 1st of July. Mr. Shack Attack as well making a great point during Woodward's time. He refused to pay Haaland's agent his fees. Yep, it was the same for Haaland. It was the same for Moises Caicedo. It was the same as well for, as a baby says, Mount and Caicedo and Mana. Ollie wanted Caicedo. Last season, Ralph Rangnick wanted Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez. We could have bought them for a combined £30 million, but we didn't buy either of them. So it is frustrating. I think we have been let down. And it isn't just Erik Ten Hag. Luhmann is absolutely correct. Every manager in the last 10 years has been let down. Sir Alex Ferguson was let down towards the end of his time as well. We sold Cristiano Ronaldo and Carlos Tevez, and we brought in Gabriel Obertan and Michael Owen and Antonio Valencia. So that was the replacement. We brought in Antonio Valencia to replace Ronaldo. We brought in Michael Owen to replace Tevez. That's not good enough. Like, that is not good enough by any stretch of the imagination. David Moyes massively let down. He wanted Fabregas. He wanted Cruz. We got Fellaini on the last day of the transfer window. Louis van Gaal as well. We wanted a lot of players. We didn't get them. Jose as well. He wanted strikers. He wanted defenders. He never got them. Oli wanted Sancho. We let Sancho go when we brought him in. So you are correct in saying that it is not just a case that Erik ten Hag has been let down. I think United as a whole has been let down. The Glazers, the owners, the board, they don't care about the club. They basically have run the place into the ground for their own agenda to make their own money. It is frustrating. It has been going on for a long time, but hopefully soon we will be free of all this crap, basically, coming from the top of the club. Let me see as well who else is down in the comments. Andy is saying he was let down not getting Gakpo. Look, we got a championship player in Veghorst. And Ollie Legend saying Ollie wanted Haaland, Caicedo, Trippier, Bellingham. He didn't get most of his targets. Absolutely not. As well as that, like Jose Mourinho wanted to sell Anthony Martial. Joel Glazer said no, he liked the player. We didn't let him go. So there is elements of those guys stepping in. It is very frustrating as well. And Chelsea are trying to overprice a player who they don't want, meaning they don't value him. Weird club. And also, do you think Chelsea overpaid for Arsenal overpaid for Havertz? Absolutely. I do not know how Kai Havertz has now gone for a combined like 150 million in his career. I mean, the guy, he was good in Germany, make no mistake about it. But I mean, he has not shown anything at Chelsea to remotely show why he is worth £65 million to Arsenal. Absolutely not, in my opinion. Maguire and Wan-Bissaka are Jose's targets, not Ollie's. Ollie approved these deals after the legwork was done. Andy as well saying what happened. Yep, completely agree that this Alexis Sanchez deal, absolutely, man. We paid him like 400,000 a week to come play a piano, and that was it. It was genuinely frustrating. And Andy is saying as well, Ronaldo was brought in by the owners to sell shirts. I do think Ollie didn't want to bring in Cristiano Ronaldo. We were dying all of last season. The whole transfer window, we said we need a number 6. We need a defensive midfielder, and we went and bought Ronaldo. I mean, that might have contributed to Ollie's downfall as well. Probably did. There was a lot of poor backing as well. Lee is absolutely correct. David Moyes was done dirty as well. And it's just very frustrating because this is over and over and over and over. It's been a never-ending cycle. Any success we've had, big or small, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, has been in spite of the Glazers. It has been in spite of them, not because of them. So obviously, you guys are completely correct. And Ollie Legend is saying Moyes shouldn't have been Man United manager. He was never a United manager. I don't think Moyes ever had the qualities needed to be a United manager. I do agree with that one, but I think we did lack. We let him down as well. All things considered, on that one, I do think we let him down with what happened with what went down in the transfer windows. We could have given him more as well. Mr. Shack Attack's right as well. Sancho, Falcao, and Di Maria. I actually forgot about Radamel Falcao as well. Man, so many poor players bought by this club. So many underwhelming players brought in over the period of time. It is frustrating, it is annoying, but what can we do, guys? Honestly, let's just hope we get rid of these Glazers. Let's hope we finally manage to get ourselves some new ownership as well. Let me have it. I'll have another check here as well, just for any news breaking. Let me just have a double check here. Looks like something is going down. Mason Mount offer remains on the table, of course. So I think it's all up in the air with Mason Mount. I think this is a big move at the moment. This looks like it's most likely to get done, despite the fact that Chelsea's rejected our final offer. I think Mount pushing on his side might make a difference in this one. I think that could be something that does happen overall. I think maybe if he pushes hard enough, it will happen. And Andy says Ollie was not good enough to manage United. Just look at him now, still not working as a manager. I think we all have our own opinions on Ollie. I think he was definitely tactically limited, but I do think the initial impact he had at the club was very positive. I think he managed to take a very beaten down team, a team on the ground after Jose left, and brought them back up by putting some confidence in them. Now, whether or not he was ever should have been the long-term manager, he probably shouldn't have. But I think he's got a pretty mixed legacy, Ollie, as well. But honestly, I think no matter who it was probably always going to struggle. Big T's down there, David Bellion and Jemba Jemba. Yeah, I mean, I don't actually think they were Glazer era signings, were they? Were they? Maybe. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe we go in for Ali Daya this summer. Maybe that's who the Glazers bring in as a secret weapon for Eric Ten Hag. Ali Daya, of course, could be an interesting one. Anything else, guys, get it into the comments as well. And if anybody is interested in joining in with Big T on the members club as well, link is in the description, and just put it into the chat there as well. So there's going to be free, like, going to be exclusive videos, polls, stuffs like that as well for anyone interested. And of course there are emojis and stuff as well. Lee Sharp has said Ollie tried the best friend approach, mate. I think he get a good job with the state of things. Yeah, I think that maybe kind of got to Ollie at the end. I think it was his kind of, yeah, I am your friend and stuff, and I think maybe discipline kind of fell towards the end of his reign as manager. Maybe the overall motivation. I think there's a lot of players who could have been dropped at different points of Ollie's reign, but never really were, if that makes sense. So I do think that is something as well that kind of happened. A bit of complacency, a bit of, you know, Ollie's not going to drop us. And there was a lot of players who fit in that description. The likes of Maguire, probably Rashford as well, De Gea, Luke Shaw, Fred, McTominay, you guys like that. They kind of knew they would be playing regardless of what happened. Stephanie's down there as well, saying great show. Thank you very much for that, Stephanie. And as well, all the support, very much appreciated, guys. As always, community, absolutely brilliant. So just in terms of what we have coming out this week, should be a video up tomorrow. Pretty much a little bit of a rant, all things considered, but it was one that I felt like making earlier. As well as that, probably going to do some scouting videos this week, as well as the daily live stream. So keep an eye out for everything coming up. And Big T says, just pointing out the poor signings. We were here with the Glazers. It's a club tradition, lol. I mean, yeah, there has been some absolute shockers, man. I mean, plenty of them over the years, regardless of the Glazers, but of course a lot more since the Glazers have come in as the owners of Manchester United. So any more thoughts, guys, just get them down into the comments. Ollie Legend as well saying Ollie finished third and second without having been backed. He had to clean up the mess left by Jose and LVG before he could bring in his own players. I do agree with that as well. I think there was, United were definitely a mismatch of teams, were a mismatch of styles. So it was players there based with Jose's style of football, players based for Ferguson style, players based for Mourinho style, and all we kind of had to make it all work. And I think United, what we should have been doing all along was really clearing the decks, getting rid of a lot of these guys who probably were not good enough for us long term, who probably did not fit what Ollie wanted to do, or what Jose wanted to do, or what Van Gaal wanted to do. And I think that's what we have to do. So other teams would be allowed to do that. People like Pep Guardiola sent Joe Hart out on day one. He basically got rid of him. He got rid of the full-backs, got rid of the centre-backs. I mean, Pep's had like 5 or 6 different left backs and right backs at City. He's had 3 different goalkeepers. He's had about 10 centre backs, about 4 midfielders he has sold and swapped and got rid of, different strikers as well. I mean, we need to give the managers the same ability to do that as well. Lucky Singh says, Qatar in. Thank you very much for that one, man. And Ollie Legend says, Ollie's underrated and underappreciated by United's fan base. Got us in many finals when we had no business being in. Yeah, I do think Ollie, like, all things considered, I think he did well. He was definitely pushed down. I think he's definitely failed to be backed. Wasn't the only manager in that, but I do think when Ollie went as well, it was probably the right time as well. Big T says we blame Ollie, but the owners overruled him plenty of times. Yep, absolutely. They overruled him. They've done the same for Ten Hag. They've done the same for Van Gaal, they've done the same for Mourinho, probably for Moises as well, so it is frustrating. Andy Oates is saying as well, he spent 400 million in 3 seasons. I'm a season ticket holder and I loved him as a player, but did not rate him as a manager. So definitely some interesting takes, a little bit of a debate going on in the comments. So if you guys thought Ollie was good, or if you thought Ollie was a poor manager, let me know as well. Feel free to get involved. Mr. Shack Attack saying, I agree, best friend approach backfired big time in the long run. Ralph was dimmed as well. Ten Hag came into a proper mess and has done so well. Incredible in my opinion. Absolutely agree with that. And Ollie Legend says Ronaldo ruined the team with his attitude, negative attention, and his overall play. The entire team suffered to cater to Ronaldo. Yeah, I think there's definitely an element in that. I mean, one of the big things under Ollie was he had basically 4 very good players up front. We had Rashford, Bruno, would have been Martial, probably Greenwood when he was still here as well. And it worked well. It was an exciting forward line. And when Ronaldo came in, it was very Ronaldo centered. Probably too Ronaldo centered to ever really work. Everybody else dropped off in gold. Ronaldo did score gold. I think Cavani worked better, as you have said. Stephanie says Ollie had to win that Europa League final after the defeat was curtains. I think you could be right with that one, Stephanie, as well. And Lucky Singh says Rabiot just needs to move to England, and if Cavani played instead of Ronaldo, we would have been comfortable Champions League and not sick. Thank you very much for that one. Yeah, I mean, I think Cavani had it rough at the end of his United tenure. I mean, I loved watching Cavani play for United. I was a big fan of him that first season. Would have been very nice to have seen him. I honestly think if we bought Cavani like 10 years younger, he could have been a brilliant player for a long time for us, score a lot of goals. I really, really like the player, but unfortunately, I think Stephanie's right. I think losing out in the Europa League final kind of set the tone of what was to come, because we lost out in different finals, semi-finals, FA Cup finals and stuff as well. So it was disappointing. I'm hoping that United do manage to improve on this season, win another couple of trophies next year. I think Ten Hag is the man to bring that. I think we have the team for it. Let's hope with some additions we can win some more stuff as well. And I do agree, Ronaldo was a disaster. Wish he went to City and ruined their team, and we could have got Haaland. I mean, yeah, I would have loved Haaland. I mean, I think the big frustrating thing is when Ollie was telling us to sign Haaland, because we had a 15, 16-year-old kid at Mold, who was playing first team football, scoring a lot of goals for their team. I think that was kind of frustrating, all things considered, because we could have had him, we could have had Bellingham, Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Julian Alvarez, a lot of good players we've lost out on over the years. Andy is saying Ten Hag has done a brilliant job with the players he has. No decent striker and only one good midfielder in Bruno. Yep, completely agree with that. I mean, we went into this season, it was only Anthony Martial, so I do agree with you, Andy. Absolutely, man. We went in with Martial as a striker. We brought in Weghorst, who seems to miss an open goal nearly every match. In terms of midfield, I mean, yeah, Bruno had all the creative work to do. I think Casemiro had all of the defensive work to do in that midfield. So I would like to see United really help that midfield out. I think Mount could be one of those guys. I think Caicedo really, really adds a lot to our midfield as well. Dan is saying we need a proper number 9. Cavani was a proper number 9. Even when he was old, he was class. Yeah, I would have loved a younger Cavani at United, or a younger Zlatan would have been amazing. Fortunately, we never got to see it. And Mr. Shack Attack says, well, would really like to see Mason back, but I think we'll see it as a huge risk for many reasons, being the effect on the squad as well as our reputation. But for me, I would personally like him back. Thank you very much for that one. The Greenwood situation will be interesting, of course. Let's see what happens on that. Club review will be the big determining factor in that one. If United do decide they can bring him back, I'm sure they will. If United feel there is no way back for him in terms of relationships within the team, within the hierarchy, the backroom staff, and probably with sponsors as well, and the other teams within United, the youth teams, and probably the women's teams especially, will also be consulted on it. So let's see what happens with that, all things considered. I'm actually going to drop off here, guys, because I don't know if you've seen it, but my lights just flashed, and it is thunder outside, so there's a potential that my electric might go out for the night. Let's hope not. But guys, I'm going to leave it here. If anybody is interested in subbing, please consider hitting the sub button. The membership link is down there as well if you guys want to support the channel in other ways as well. So thank you very much for joining in with me, guys. Make sure to join in tomorrow, and I will see everyone then. All right, guys, hope you have a very good Sunday, whatever you guys are up to, and I will see you all tomorrow.